I grew up in church. I had a good family home, good nurturing, loving family, and I got saved when I was 8 years old. Grew up in the church, and I had a really good head knowledge of God and somewhat of a heart knowledge of God as well too. But as I got into my teenage years and then on up into college, I kind of drifted away from God a little bit and took a prodigal daughter type of road. And in that time, I met a guy that I became involved with, and things got physical at that point in time, and I ended up getting pregnant by this man. And once I told him, his first words to me, I will never forget. He told me, "We don't have to kill it just yet," and that will always be etched in the back of my mind. I, to this day, cannot get those words out of my head. And I knew right then and there that this man was not going to be very supportive of me or this baby, and that just, to me, made me feel so lonely at the time. I was so disappointed in myself for letting me get to that point, because with my Christian background, I never would have thought that I would have ever ended up in this position. And here I was, pregnant and unplanned, and with a man who did not want to be with me and didn't want anything to really do with me. And at that point in time, I started researching places for an abortion, and came upon a clinic in Charlotte, and I set up an appointment to have my abortion and told the baby's father. He rode with me, and I went down to the clinic, and I can't tell you, that type of experience was almost like an out-of-body experience, because it is so surreal, just the atmosphere there. And once I was back there with those other girls and those other women there were numerous women there, and I felt like such a hypocrite sitting on that couch beside those other women, because all I could feel or think in my head was, does this woman know Jesus? Or does this woman know Jesus? Or anything of that sort. And it just really stuck with me. And once I was on the table for the procedure, that in and of itself was also an out-of-body experience, because once the procedure started, I could feel the doctor tugging and pulling on me. And not only that, I felt like I made the mistake of just lifting my head up, because once I did, I actually saw the doctor throw my baby in the trash and my remains in the trash. And at that point in time, that's where I felt like my life was in the trash. I felt alone. I felt disgusted with myself. I felt so much shame and just numb, like a part of my soul and a part of my heart had just died. And it did. And once I got back home, I was depressed, and it took a couple of days, but I eventually told my parents, and eventually told my brother. But other than that, there wasn't that many people that I told. This has been 7.5 years ago that this happened, and the devil just really kept me in isolation. He kept me in shame. He had me in fear, to where I felt like if I would tell my story, nobody would ever be able to understand that once you say the word abortion, somebody is going to be out there to judge you, and you may not have the opportunity to fully come out with your story. But once I came upon this study of Healing Hearts, that idea totally changed. Once I got into a group of other women that have also had an abortion, they set they sat there with me, and they never once threw an eye of judgment upon me. They always sat there with love, compassion, and encouragement, because they too themselves have been through that road, and they know exactly what it means to go through an abortion and be isolated and be all those other things. And that has brought about so much healing, this study, and just God's word in general, because this study is filled with so much of God's word and his promises to you, and that's what really heals. But also being able to tell your story to somebody else who can empathize with you is such an awesome thing, to tell your story and to have somebody else say, hey, that's me too. There's some comfort in that, and that's what I love about this study, this counseling, is that you not only have other women in your group, but your counselors have been through that same thing, so they know how to guide you through those landmines and those pathways to get you to the point of healing. And that's why I love this study.